Thank you very much for introduction. And it's a great pleasure for me to give such a speech, and I feel very honored. But I have to start with a few words on the excuse. First of all, I have already retired from the university. I'm retired from teaching 3.5 years ago. So I'm carrying some IT-related businesses, especially in the field of clouds or SaaS or kind of things, application hostings. My career tells you that I've been teaching artificial intelligence almost 38 years in the university. So today's speak, and I also have to apologize that I used to work for round table of the government to discuss about the future of the IT or networking. But currently, I have nothing to do with any committee of the government. So I'm not the right person to give any ideas about the Japanese government policies. In spite of that, I was just requested to speak about the Japanese government policy 2 weeks ago, and I had to check all the policies, data, materials, looking at Japanese government sites. So today, I have utilized some government material, AI project-related materials together with some data from OECD or through my experience. And mostly you can find those materials on the web. And this also is, you have to apologize, and this would be my personal view, my personal vision, not in the government ones. So I can, because of that, and I can give you some pessimistic vision as well. First of all, I just to prepare this presentation, I just checked, the Google Trend to see how well, terminology of IoT, AI, or RPO is researched within in Japan, in territory of Japan, especially in the segment of businesses. And I also checked big data, but big data didn't show any good trend through Google Trends. So IoT seems to be started to grow around in the beginning of 2014, so almost 4 years ago. And AI boom followed to start with, in the middle of 2015, almost 3 years ago. And nowadays, since last year, there is a huge boom of, RPA is beginning. So RPA solutions is sold pretty well in the market of Japan. This will be a great businesses. The reason is, RPA is expected to overtake AI in practical use simply because RPA is easier to find, where to apply, where to use. It's very easier to understand how to use. RPA is pretty good with terminology robotics. Does robotics mean AI? Usually robotics means automation. Automation is the old terminology, older than AI. So why we didn't have any AI? We had automation. So most of the solutions named RPA has nothing to do with AI. Well, some, of course, have. There's also room for RPA to, apply with an AI, of course. The RPA also is a pretty good, segment of business to apply AI. But to be honest, to be frank, most of the current solutions with RPA is nothing to do with AI. And I don't know if you do know about those two books. Of course, Japanese wouldn't read those books in English. Recently, those books were translated in Japanese. Since then, there was kind of boom. So many mass communication wrote about those books. And so many seminars was opened to explain about those books. One is, books named "The Singularity is Near" by Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kaiser is in kind of an AI, researcher. His research is very optimistic. So he shows a very optimistic vision about AI. He expecting that, many of, human activity will be replaced with computer machines. But not only simply AI. There's a lot of hardwares in our sensor technology, of course. And another one is, guides from MIT, Race Against the Machine. This, is a bit of scaring book, scaring us that, we may lose our jobs to be replaced by AI technology or some other machines. But again, since we start using computers in businesses, computer system has been taking our jobs away from us. It's not something happening from now. It's been happening. Most people have a misunderstanding. Computer technology is something to replace human activities in order to reduce costs, in order to increase the performance. So in addition to that, now we are facing with AI more sophisticated technologies to emulate or simulate human activities. So no wonder we will lose current activity hours to be replaced by machines or AIs. We cannot avoid that. What should we do? We have to do something new on top of AI technologies or computer science technologies. That is something we have to do. Japan, back to some Japanese, I have to explain about the Japanese trend or policy about the AI technology. So let me tell you about in some detail, but abstract view about the Japanese market of IT. Japan used to perform very well in the information technology market until a few decades ago. Say more than 20 years ago or 25, we have been doing pretty well. You have known the names of Fujitsu, Mitsubishi, Hitachi, or NEC. But nowadays, they are losing power. In that sense, we are not doing, IT industry, we are not doing so well these few decades, 20 years or so. We have lots of manufacturing companies in Japan. But the manufacturing process, business opportunity was taken by, say, Lenovo from China, or from some company from your nations. Limited companies manufacturing PCs in Japan. This is my personal view of the information technology industry in Japan. Japan has been successful until a few decades ago in development of the information technology industries. We have had the pretty good information technology industries of certain size with higher demands for employment. So students, university graduates, so many engineers try to find a job position among the IT industries. But we have been staying domestic. We're not trying to go abroad because we had a pretty good market there. We didn't have to go abroad. But the situation is changing. But around, it's about, I guess, 15 years ago, when OECD started reporting about Japan. Japan has not been successful through utilization of information technologies to develop new industries with new business models. Even nowadays, we're not very successful. We have not been very, successful to develop new businesses with higher demands of employment. But now Japan has started to change the structure of legacy information technology industries. Legacy technology information industries means that such companies like Fujitsu, NEC, Hitachi, or we may include IBM as well. They're still sitting on the huge sales of theirs comes from the legacy technologies. Anyway, Japanese try to catch up with the new trends of the world market. New trends catching up mean that China or United States or some other territory is running in front of us. We are not a forerunner anymore. We are running behind some other nations. This is some data I downloaded from OECD. This tells you that Japan's GDP per hour worker is lower than the OECD total. Average of 36 nations. Japan is not very profitable a nation. Unfortunately, Korea follows. But when it comes, labor productivity forecasting concern, you are doing pretty well. Japan is less than, far less than the OECD total. We are not very successful to increase the productivity with technologies. So, this is a really shocking fact for Japanese government and Japanese business people. So we feel that we have to change. This is, a document. This is a data I downloaded from government websites, which was in Japanese. This is a collection of various data from various papers or websites or something. On the top, it serves for research and development. Share of AI-related papers or theses among the top 10%. Previous speaker mentioned that USA takes 25% of the thesis, the top 1%, I mean. And China falls with 19%. Japan only takes 4%. We are running far behind China. And when comes a number of papers adopted by international giant conferences about artificial intelligence, this organization has a long history of AI. 32% of the papers adopted for US. China adoption is 28%. But Japan adoption is only 4% of ICIJ. And next line, effects of American artificial intelligence to push up GDP by year of 2030. In North America, including Canada or some other territory beside US, they're expecting $3.7 trillion by the year of 2030. 14.50% of pitch. China has great increase, $7 trillion. While Japan has only, including your nations, I believe, in fact, this, the numbers of developed countries in Asia means that not only in Japan, but also Korea, some other small nations, increase would be only 0.9 trillion, just a 10% increase. US and China and running far behind, beyond us. And UTS will know AI, let me skip to the next. And the number of university graduate training finished in the course of data analytics. In US, this is a report of 2008, a bit old one. Probably the Japanese government could not find some latest data. So this they say was an old one. In the US, year of 2008, 24,700 students graduated with knowledge of data analytics. In China, it would be 17,400. In Japan, only 3,400. This is a serious problem. Or number of IT engineers in the US, 4.195 million, a bit more than 4 million. But in Japan, we only have 1 million. Usually US number is 4 times higher. And the number of IT engineers working for user companies is very limited in Japan. In US, 2/3 of engineers mostly working for user companies, while in Japan, only 28% is working for user companies. So, let me skip, to the next slide. And this gives you some ideas why Japanese IT engineers mostly working for IT industries, not for users. There's such, very, interesting story to tell. In the years 1970s and 1980s, when information technology was recognized as a core competence against other companies, in the same industries, IT user companies hire a lot of IT workers to build their own IT divisions. When I graduated universities, I took a course, to go to grad school. But my colleagues, my friends, find a job position at the industries, user industries as well. Around that period of time, it's for the students per 100. I remember that there was 2,000 companies offering the position for 100 students. 2,000, not people, 2,000 companies came to my university offering a job position for 100 students. So those days, we had easiness to find position at the user companies. But we had some recession started in 1991. This was a very serious one. And the user companies, IT user companies had the difficulty to keep their IT division with them. So they started to release it. They sold those companies. It was a great opportunity for large IT companies because they can buy the sales, amount of sales, or user itself. Company like, say, NTT Data, it's the largest IT company in Japan, drastically grow through these activities, buying users, buying customers, buying sales, not engineers. NTT Data is a pretty good, company with regard to technologies. Then to the engineers from, user companies, they just hope to have taken in the sales. And because that, major IT companies in Japan have successfully expanded their business, obtaining IT customers for their own sales to increase. It made the IT engineer had to find job position among IT industries. There still remains lots of business opportunities to maintain legacy IT systems with stable amount of sales for IT. So legacy IT business companies, industries, we still have sales. Because Japan has a long history of having utilizing IT, information technologies. So legacy resources still remains among the users. It keeps IT industries conservative to change themselves for something new. Anyway, Japan is now trying to change, utilizing a new technology to prepare for the future. Government has decided to lead these activities, projects. Rare models that, Cabinet Office itself decide to lead the project. With, supporting, inviting various, ministries to be under the control of Cabinet Office. And on the right side, in the SIP in the prison, was established several years ago in order to develop some innovative technology, innovative market. And it was 2 years ago, I guess, Strategic Council for AI Technology was established. This scheme shows very seriousness about Japanese government or cabinet to promote AI technology in the market. And I have to mention that, each ministries have their own research laboratories who engage in study or research of AI. So this is not everything I can show you. This is just top-level part of the AI promotion scheme. And the year of 2016, we got 683 million US dollars of budget for AI. And this year, 2018, we have 681 million US dollars worth in the budget, which is less than 20% or 50% of US budget prepared in USA or China. So, budget still is limited, but government isn't planning to increase it. Recently, some people start saying that Japanese government is planning to prepare to promote AI or AI-related technologies with amount of 1% of GDP. Japan GDP is very close to 5 trillion US dollars. That means 50 billion US dollars will be prepared for AI or some related technology promotion in the coming years by the government itself. And the government, requested the industry group to prepare another 3% of GDP worth in our budget. So in total, we're expecting, including the budget from commercial industries, total of 4% of GDP worth budget will be prepared to promote AI or AI-related technology in next year, in the following years. That's my guess. This may give you some ideas what kind of project and what kind of, what amount of money are being spent from now on. This is estimated budget request for the coming year. This is not finalized number. But this list may what kind of usage the project our government is planning to promote, or each ministry is planning to promote. I don't have the time to explain in detail for each one. So probably I hope you can browse in each themes in later. Even the Ministry of Defense requested for the budget. But, Japanese government, Ministry of Defense isn't allowed to develop weapons. So their research target is not weapons at all. So probably internal is like, say, research for modularized unmanned underwater vehicle, that kind. So anyway, total 2.09 billion US dollar, or 236 billion Japanese yen of the estimated budget is being requested. This is, for the year of 2019. And anyway, Japanese government has been already organized a group of, organized some, organizations to promote AI. But when I read through this, the documents, I downloaded from the government site. I recognize that very serious problems remaining. That's in those development of human resources with high skills of IT skills in general. The most difficult theme to cope with these things. To be very frank, Japan is short of human resources with high IT skills, among the age of 30s and the 40s and the 50s. Can you guess the reason why? They have difficulty with high level knowledge and the skills of AI to teach or train AI-related knowledge at educational entities or at the AI industry, IT industries. Can you guess why you have such a problem? AI started in year of 1956. many years ago. We have had two booms of AI. When there's so many researchers engaged in AI development or research, or some students try to study AI. But we experienced two periods of time for a so-called winter of AI. Later, I will explain some details why we have such problem in the age of people in the age of 30s or 40s or 50s. This is prepared by the government for the ideal scale of IT skilled workers estimated for the future. According to the government report, it seems that we have 500 kinds of industry in the market of Japan. And the government expecting we need a kind of guru or master to take care of each segment of the industry. That seems to be comes to 500. We cannot educate, train gurus. Talented guys, talented engineers would be gurus by themselves. No one can lead them. No one can educate them. We only can prepare the ground, place. They study or they train by themselves with their own talent. So this is not something we can educate. Underneath of that, we have to, probably independent engineers or workers. This is required thousands per year for 600,000 companies. There's, more than 6,000 in major companies where they may find job opportunities with AI technologies. And those companies with a capital 1 billion Japanese yen or more, or certain size, I mean. Underneath of that, they're expecting, to have apprentice levels. Apprentice means, they can work for AI technologies with some, guidance or trainers or leaders. It is required, expect to require tens of thousands, engineers, workers per year. And government expecting now, we have, currently, we have, 50,000 graduates of Master of Science estimated each year. This will be assigned to, be apprentice. So we have to train those apprentices to be, so that they can be an independent worker or a master guru. And the usual, university graduate of 500,000 are expected just general IT workers, not in the leading positions. Those guys in the works, ordinary in our AI works. We are expecting now 500,000 university graduate every year. And we feel they have, take some, course of sciences, they may be a certain level of, knowledge. But mostly, from other theories besides ITs, university even graduates have, very limited literacy. So those, students with those guys with higher literacy, we belong to general IT workers. But they cannot lead IT workings, projects. And below that, they are expecting workers with primary literacy, which they call the general public. We're expecting to place a million high school graduates to be placed in this position. So this suggests that we need a higher education to promote AI. What we need are cutting-edge IT workers, together with the general IT workers of a certain quality. This is you can find this kind of hype cycle of artificial intelligence at websites. I just modified it. In 1958, there was the birth of AI. So I'm afraid I'm older than AI. And around 1974, there was some peak of boom of AI. Where I was just studying around that period of time. What I studied was artificial intelligence languages like a Lisp or some other, planner, conniver, that kind, from MIT. Or I study some, problem solver, general problem solver ideas, or heuristic ideas of search, and state-space search technology ideas. Look, mostly very theoretical, fundamental ideas. I was good enough to solve the, say, games, or good for playing some, chess and kind of games. But that's not enough to, achieve, to beat the human beings within such games. And it was not for real usage. So once market lost interest in keep on studying AI. So first winter of AI came around the year of 1980. And around that period of time, at the year of 1970s, I started teaching at the university. I started teaching University of AI. Around that period of time, I was teaching very fundamental, very classical AIs at the universities. Around 10 years later or so, around 1987, there's a boom to application AI named expert systems. Some kind of real usage was tried. Of course, there were several successful cases we have seen, but they had a difficulty to expand it for the other territory to apply. So again, we had a winter came. And since then, just a few years ago, we have had winter of experience in winter of AI at least the universities. The reason is, students could not find how worth it is to study AI when they get out of the university. There's not high demands for AI engineers, the people with AI knowledge, until several years ago. And initially, when I had the AI boom, I had a class of, say, 50, 60 more students attending my class. But during the winter period of time, I only have had, say, 20, 30 students attending my class out of 200 students. AI class was lost its popularity among the students. So I like to tell you, just for example, around the people who graduate university around year 2000, at the age of 22, they were not interested in studying AI. They graduate universities mostly with any knowledge of data. They rather study about something about more virtualization, the cloud-like things, or startup things. So if they graduate at the age of 22, at the year of 2000, now they are age of 38. Those people do not have any good knowledge of the AI. If they graduate in 1990, probably they did not have any interest in studying AI. They are in the age of 40s. And this winter started around the 1980s. So age of 20, 30 or 40 or 50s at this moment did not have any good opportunity to study AI in depth. That's my understanding. And because of that, the problem comes not to the user side, in the market side. The problem stays with educational entity side. If you are studying, say, artificial intelligence at the graduate school around, say, year of 2000, you have a difficulty to write thesis. So you had difficulty to take AI as a course of master course or doctoral course to write thesis. Those guys find job position at the universities. So professors, teachers at the universities in the age of around that period of time, do not have a full understanding of AI. Just think about high schools. High schools or junior high schools. It's not a very good position to earn money. So IT engineers mostly find their positions at the IT industries. Just think that then who are teaching ITs, programming computers, something about computers at high schools or junior high schools? The guys who graduated took mathematics course or physics. So those guys are teaching computer science or expect to teach AI from now on at the junior high schools and high schools. AI is not that easy. AI's territory is pretty broad. Not only IT technology, but mathematics required, biology required. Sometimes, some other territories, psychology may be required. Or understanding applied science, applied mathematics is required. Sometimes we may use some knowledge about physics. No, it's not easy to master in a couple of years. It takes long years to study AI, to take the position for teaching. To summarize, what I'd like to tell you, Nora, the key is to promote AI is, of course, developing the human resources within a certain level of skills and knowledge of AI. But now in Japan, we have a lack of people who can teach AI. And the engineers in the 20s or 30s, they can study by themselves to develop their skills by themselves. But such people are very limited. So in Japan, so many IT guys who hope to develop such skills find their positions, job opportunities at U.S. industry like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, to develop their skills about AI. Not that in NEC, not that in Hitachi. Of course, they have research laboratories. For ordinary engineers, it's tough to find a position to promote their own skills of AI in the usual Japanese IT industries. So this is my anxieties. But when it comes, usage IT is concerned, there is so much in the places, opportunities to apply AIs. But the problem is with Japanese engineers of certain ages, Japanese engineer students who are planning to graduate. I'm afraid there is not good enough environment of schemes prepared to educate or study AI. So I hope that we don't have any solutions at this moment how to solve this problem, but we have to solve this problem. I don't know how, but that's the conclusion of my today's presentation. Thank you very much for your patience to stay with me.